Breaking news tonight. Diddy done? The star now slammed with brand new claims of sex abuse and brutality. This as the feds are shredding a luxury hotel. Why? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Music mogul and rap star Sean Diddy Combs hit with lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. But attorneys claim no matter how many suits are filed, Combs is innocent.
Really? After seeing that video of Sean Combs, aka Diddy, aka Puffy, aka Puff Daddy, I don't know how many there are. After seeing him dragging Cassie Ventura through a hotel, I think by her hair, I'd have to look at it again to see if it was her collar or her hair. Innocent? What am I supposed to believe? All of these people suing him are lying, and he, Diddy, is the only one telling the truth. I got a hard time believing that. It's coming at him from all sides. He just lost a $100 million default judgment. This, as we learned, he's selling his mansion. I think I know why, but there's more. Listen.
Federal prosecutors issued a subpoena against a Miami hotel as part of a secret grand jury investigation into Sean Diddy Combs. The hotel, in order to turn over all records regarding Combs and known associate Daphne Joy from 2008 to present day. The subpoena includes check-in and check-out dates, room numbers, guest requests, billing information including email addresses and phone numbers, room service activity, hotel surveillance footage, computer IP addresses and logins for guests, and customer identifications and vehicle details.
What? That was a mouthful. Wait a minute. Let's break that down. Now, this as the Danity Kane singer Dawn Richards is suing Sean Diddy Combs for sex abuse and brutality, and in her pleadings, she's also claiming that she saw him punching and beating not only Cassie Ventura, well, we know that because we saw that with our own eyes in the hotel surveillance video, but others as well, including the mother of some of his children, Kim Porter, and more. What's next? First, let me address what I'm hearing about the feds. Can I tell you, I was a Fed for 3 years. They didn't put one toe into the courtroom until they had literally rooms full of boxes full of evidence. I know that. Let me go straight out to Nima Rahmani, former federal prosecutor turned trial attorney, president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers Association, author of Harvard to Hashtag, and also instructor at Harvard. Nima, thank you for being with us. Listen, the feds are descending on one hotel in particular. There may be others. Knowing the feds, there probably are others. But I know about this hotel, so I can speak freely about it. A Miami hotel, part of a secret grand jury investigation into Combs. Listen to what they want. Okay, this relates to not only Combs, but known associate Daphne Joy. It goes all the way back to 2008. That's a long way to dig back. Listen to what they want. Check-in, check-out dates. Room numbers. I'm sure Diddy did not check in under his own name, so he's got to have his alias or his assistant. We got to get that information. Guest requests. What did they want? Did they want a lot of booze? Did they want personal favors from the concierge? Billing information to find out what all they were getting? Maybe they're trying to corroborate a claim of sex abuse or brutality, and they're actually getting the room service orders for that night or day. IP addresses, guest requests. What guest requests? Maybe. What if they called for Band-Aids or bandages or medicine or painkillers? I don't know. What guest request are they talking about? I'm very interested in the room service activity, hotel surveillance footage, computer IP addresses, and logins for guests, customer IDs, even down to the vehicle information. You know, when you go to a hotel, a lot of times they'll ask, well, are you driving? What's the tag number and all that? That's a lot of information, Nima. What is brewing?
It is, Nancy. They're looking for really two categories of information. Obviously, you want that direct evidence if you're a prosecutor, the video of Diddy beating someone, whether it's Cassie Ventura. Obviously, we all saw that from the Intercontinental here in Los Angeles, where I live. So there's any evidence of that, that's going to be gold. But even evidence that corroborates what the victims are saying, right? That's what you want, to show that they were there with Diddy on the days that they allege that they were physically and sexually abused. That's all helpful if you're a prosecutor. And you know how the feds work. Nancy, you and I work there. They want to make sure that all their I's are dotted, T's are crossed before they go to that grand jury, get that indictment. Because you know, in a case like this, there's no deal to be had. Diddy's going to push the case to trial. So you want to make sure when you arrest him, when he's arraigned, that you're ready to go and you have all the evidence you need to put him away for life.
Everything you just said is correct, Nima, but I want to talk about why they want this particular information. Everything you said is correct, but you kind of danced around. Why do they want room service orders? Hold on. I'm going to let you percolate on that. Joining me is Tom Smith, former NYPD detective. And I love nothing more than a few things more. I would love to go through on the days of these alleged sex attacks and brutality claims. I want to find out who's up in that penthouse suite with Diddy. What are they smoking? What are they eating? How many people are there? That's why I want to see the room service. I want to find out if they ordered anything from the concierge, if they needed the house doctor. I remember when I was on Tot Mom, I took a swim in a pool and got a horrible ear infection, and I had to be in court every day, and I had the twins with me. We had to finally get the house doctor who showed up at 3 a.m. so I could go to work at 5 a.m. It hurt so much. Long story short, I would love to find out if the house doctor was called up there and why. There's just so much I can learn from what the guest requests were. What about it? Help me out, Tom.
Yeah, it's a treasure trove because you're corroborating witness statements, maybe source reporting of what was going on up there. And like both of you said, in the U.S. Attorney's Office, you want a slam dunk. You want every possible piece of evidence you could get to make sure it's in front of him, it scares the hell out of him, and they don't go to trial. Now, did he probably do that? Yes. But the way the U.S. Attorney's Office works, you get every conceivable piece of evidence you can on every level to make sure these charges stick.
Guys, with me an all-star panel to make sense of what we are learning right now. Let me go straight out to crimeonline.com, investigative reporter with the latest on Diddy, a.k.a. Sean Combs, a.k.a. Sean Puffy Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy. It goes on. Sydney Sumner, the reason I keep saying that is another thing I really love is when you are standing before the jury pool, which means 60 to 80 to 100 potential jurors, and you read the indictment, and you spend the whole page going through their aliases before you can even get to the charges. Because most people are thinking, I only have one name. Why does he have aliases? Of course, in the music industry and the TV industry, there are a lot of monikers, that stage names, and so forth. That said, what's happening, Sydney Sumner? Why do the feds want the guest requests, surveillance footage, vehicle information, check-in, check-out, room numbers? Why do they want all that information for this Lux hotel? Don't you know that hotel is standing on their ear right now?
Absolutely, Nancy. That hotel is probably panicking, wondering if they are going to have any culpability themselves. And I just wanted to add to your list, one of these new lawsuits had a new one that I had never heard before. Diddy runs the city. That was a new alias I had not heard before. But in terms of the evidence that they are looking for from this hotel, a lot of it makes sense to me. So think about when you're staying in a hotel. To use the Wi-Fi, you have to log in. You have to provide some kind of login information to attach to that Wi-Fi. So if any kind of videotaping was going on in those rooms, I'm thinking that the feds are trying to figure out if that video was uploaded somewhere. If there's some kind of treasure trove of online storage space that is being used to hide incriminating materials. That's what I think they're looking for with those computer IP addresses, email addresses, all of that digital information.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Sydney, I hear what you're saying. Okay, Nima Romani, let's talk about what we know that's on the subpoena to this Lux Hotel. Does what Sydney Sumner just said, does that somehow affect your opinion as to what the feds are seeking? We know he took videos. And we know he had them in his home and he had them on his yacht. I wonder what the video caught. So why, when you don't know a horse, Nima, I don't know if you teach this at Harvard, look at the track record. If he videos at home and he videos in his yacht and he videos at all of his homes, we know there's surveillance video. Why would he do anything differently in this Lux Hotel? I wonder if he was videoing the alleged sex assaults.
Well, we know he videotaped the sex acts because that's what Cassie Ventura said in her first lawsuit in November. I mean, he would videotape her being by prostitutes. So this was Diddy's MO. And in addition to everything that we talked about, right? Obviously, we know Diddy's the target of the investigation, but you want to identify other perpetrators if you're a prosecutor. You're going to wrap them up into that indictment. Maybe you flip them, maybe you cooperate them, but whether they're perpetrators or witnesses, you want to identify everyone who was there because they may be co-defendants or they may be people that are going to testify in the case against Diddy as well. So we know that he has a pattern of committing physical and sexual crimes in these hotels. So I wouldn't be surprised whether it's LA or Miami or anywhere in the world that he did the same thing at that hotel.
Don't you know he's got that video recorder going? Some of these Lux Hotel penthouse suites, $3,000 to $5,000 a night. And another thing I would be looking at? Let's think it through. Lynn Shaw joining me, founder, executive director, Lynn's Warriors, committed to ending sexual exploitation. Lynn, another thing I bet the feds want, employee records. You want to tell me the room service guy didn't look in the door and keep looking as they shut the door? What is Diddy doing in there? And what about when they roll the table in and they set everything up? They get an eye and an earful. I want to know who brought him room service. What, if anything, did you see? Was everybody stoned? Did you see drugs? I want to hear it all. Plus, as Nima Romani just stated, potential witnesses. There's nothing the feds like more than to turn a co-defendant against the defendant. They're looking for witnesses, Lynn.
Buckle up, everyone, because here's what I have to say about this. Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy told us exactly who he is when he named his company Bad Boy Entertainment. Now, I know we always talk about, we need the proof, but I am here to say this, what makes the most money? I'm going to blow this up a little bit. It is sex trafficking and drug trafficking. I'm also throwing into that labor trafficking. We at the Warriors work with a lot of victims, survivors that have come up through the rap world, through the hip hop world. These are women who don't even know each other. And they have repeatedly over the years told us this was part of the culture of that world. And I want to get back to this P. Diddy runs the city, because I'm sitting here in the middle of New York City. And for many decades down the street from me had to pass this big office building, big skyscraper. Bad Boy Entertainment, that was the world headquarters. They had one floor in the building. And you know what the building was named? Bad Boy Entertainment. So I always wondered, why is their name splashed all over this? I've always heard whisperings and rumors being in the entertainment business and media, but again, not having the proof. But if so many different people tell you the same story over and over again, does P. Diddy run the city? Because we have to remember there was that case with J-Lo where they left his nightclub and they were throwing guns out of windows or something like that. And the driver took the fall, so to speak, for all of this. So he's been around a long time. So I have to ask everybody, what has taken so long? So what we have to have now is this video evidence. It's been around, these whispers, a long time. I say sex trafficking. I'm throwing in labor trafficking because the definition is force, fraud, coercion for trafficking.
A 2023 lawsuit from an ex-girlfriend opens a can of worms for disgraced rapper and producer Sean P. Diddy Combs. Investigators raid Combs' properties in a shocking sex trafficking probe.
And Sean Diddy Combs defaults. You know how when you're playing softball or baseball in grammar school and the other team doesn't show up, it's a default, you win? Same thing in court. Combs has a $100 million judgment leveled against him by default. This, as many other claims of sex attacks and brutality emerge. Who? And remember, regarding all the information they want from that hotel, there is a known associate named Daphne Joy that is also targeted. Why? But listen to this.
New lawsuits alleging sexual assault pushed the number of Sean Diddy Combs' legal battles into double digits, making the band contestant Dawn Richard, the former Danity Kane singer, alleges the Bad Boy CEO manipulated her to comply with his depraved demands, promising to advance her career.
Dawn Richard alleges that in addition to calling female Making the Band contestants ugly and fat, Combs forced her to rehearse for 48 hours straight with no sleep. In another incident, Combs scheduled a rehearsal at his home and refused to put on clothes. Richard says Combs entered her dressing room while she was naked and touched her inappropriately. Richard also details a terrifying incident when Combs locked her in a car for hours. Richard says she saw Kim Porter. Her face appeared to have fresh injuries. Richard says she saw Combs throw Cassie against a wall, choke her several times, throw a hot pan at her, and even drag Ventura by her hair. When Richard and another bandmate tell Ventura to leave Combs, Combs threatens to kill them.
Good gravy. I hardly know how to digest all of that. I've got to tear it apart. Joining me, renowned analyst Karen Stark, psychologist, renowned on TV and radio as a trauma expert at KarenStark.com. Karen with a C. Karen, that's a lot to take in. It's amazing how people with power, money, and prestige believe they can get away with treating their underlings like crap. Technical legal term. Listen to this. Calling female contestants ugly and fat, forcing them to rehearse 48 hours straight, locking this one person in a car. I'm talking about Dawn Richard, star of Danity Kane. She was on Making the Band, if you'll recall. And it goes on and on and on. And it brings in, this woman, Richard, brings in eyewitness testimony regarding seeing one of Sean Combs's, I guess you'd say, wife, lovers, Kim Porter, with her face having been beaten, saw him throw Cassie Ventura against a wall, choke her, and throw a hot pan at her. Then threatens to destroy these ladies' careers if they sever ties. Okay, you take over.
Nancy, he's a narcissistic abuser. This has been going on for years. It's so good that it's finally coming to light because he's taking advantage, no doubt about it, of the power. We have seen this before. This is Harvey Weinstein. This is Bill Cosby. These are guys who take that power, abuse the women, do whatever they want, and threaten their careers. And that keeps these women under their thumb because they need their careers. They need to advance. They want to, and they have no choice but to be under the domination of these men. They don't see it any other way.
Sydney Sumner joining me, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. Exactly who is the, quote, known associate, Daphne Joy, and who is the Making the Band contestant, Dawn Richards? She's from Danity Kane, right?
Yes, that's correct. So Daphne Joy is a model, an actress. She has an OnlyFans account that you can subscribe to for $25 a month.
Wait a minute.
She has...
Wait a minute. Hold on. When you say a model / actress, you mean modeling on OnlyFans? What kind of model are we talking about? Are we talking about New York Fashion Week model? Are we talking about Paris, the runways? Or are we talking about stripping on OnlyFans model?
I do believe currently it's more stripping on OnlyFans. I believe she may have been popular on social media for most of this time. I do not believe she's a runway model. But yeah, and she has some minor credits in some popular movies. Step Up in 2011, I had never heard of before. Pirates of the Caribbean, On Stranger Tide, she was one of the mermaids in that movie. And what we know of her relationship with Diddy is that they are close. They have never publicly said, we're dating, we're in a relationship, but they have known each other for several years. And she is frequently on Diddy's Instagram. They know each other very well.
Don't care. Don't care. You can model on OnlyFans. You can model at New York Fashion Week. I don't care. But what I do care is when I hear the words known associate. Okay. Nima Rahmani, former federal prosecutor, author of Harvard hashtag. When I hear the two words known associate, okay, my ears prick up. Explain. What does it mean to be a known associate? Nothing good.
Well, definitely not good. And we know that there are allegations that Diddy used other women to lure the victims of sex trafficking. And I'm not saying that Daphne did that, but she's allegedly been a victim herself. She's made allegations that she was not by Diddy, but by 50 Cent. Obviously, 50 Cent is doing a documentary about Diddy's alleged abuse that's going to come out. So there's a lot of people involved, Nancy. It's not just Diddy. We know that there were other individuals at his infamous parties, his white parties. They're going to be wrapped up in this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was women involved as well who lured these victims into sex trafficking.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.
Did he do it? Music stars and others speak out about their experiences with Combs. Beloved rapper 50 Cent claims he's always said something's not right.
Okay, something's not right. That's not helping me. I need names, addresses, witness accounts. That's what the feds are doing right now. You don't hear what they do because they keep it under wraps until they've got basically a warehouse full of boxes full of documents that will corroborate eyewitness statements, receipts. They have a group of snoops, federal snoops, and they are really good. They will go through every grocery store receipt, every room service receipt, who carried your room service, every phone call you made to whose cell phone, every vehicle tag number that was at that hotel, and probably other hotels that Sean Combs frequented. But we just heard Nima Rahmani speak with some degree of familiarity with Sean Puffy Combs' white parties where everybody has to wear white. Hold on. It's not a party for everybody. Listen.
Adria English, a dancer at Sean Combs' annual white party. She accuses Combs of grooming her for sex trafficking, forced her to have sex with guests. In her lawsuit, English says during one party she was told to wear a black dress was a signal to others she was a sex worker. English says she went along with Diddy's demands out of fear for her safety and future job perspectives. English says When she broke ties with Combs, he ruined her career.
English also filed a police report with Miami Beach PD alleging Sean Combs coerced her into having sex with 3 guests in attendance at his white party. Miami Beach PD says the investigators will turn the evidence over to federal investigators who will decide whether to pursue charges.
You really got to pick this apart. Tom Smith joining me, former NYPD detective, co-host Gold Shields podcast. Tom, asking a woman to wear a little black dress, as they are called, to a cocktail party doesn't sound odd, does it? Until you realize it's Sean Puffy Combs's white party he throws every year. It's renowned, not in a good way. Let me just say, it's infamous, not famous, but infamous. And everyone is instructed to, I don't think they can even get in if they're not wearing all white. So by telling this woman to wear black, that seemingly goes hand in hand, tongue and groove, with her statement that she was told to wear a black dress to signal others she was a sex worker. And then goes on to describe being coerced into having sex with multiple people at the white party. What about it?
You know, Nancy, this is a criminal enterprise. That's what this is. It's an organization, and everyone attending that party is in on it because everyone there is aware of why she's wearing a black dress. This is known, this is calculated, and this is a bad, bad guy who has a history and all over the place. And this is a large investigation. You're talking about multiple agencies in multiple states coming together and doing exactly what you said. The DA, the U.S. attorneys and investigators are going to sit down and go through what they need to prosecute them. The U.S. attorneys will say, I need this. The investigators will go do it. There's a litany of information that's going to come out of this through source information, witness statements, electronic surveillances that have been done. Diddy's in a lot of trouble with this, especially that the feds are involved now.
Well, I see a big red flag. Listen.
If you listen to inside sources, Sean Diddy Combs always intended to sell his 17,000 square foot home in L.A. once his 3 daughters moved out. Some, however, question the timing of that plan. The current listing for the mansion is $61.5 million, $20 million more than he purchased it for in 2014. The home features 10 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms. There is a wine cellar, a separate catering kitchen, and a theater. The 2-story guest house has a gym, recording studio, and multiple suites. Let's not forget the basketball court, spa, and in-ground pool with a waterfall.
Wait a minute. An in-ground pool with a waterfall? Okay, as interesting as that might be, I'm actually more concerned and more interested in any type of room that would have been used to house video and electronic surveillance equipment. Sydney Sumner joining me, investigative reporter. Is this the same home that was raided? Good gravy, it looks like a hotel. Tell me about it, Sydney.
Absolutely. This is that same home that was raided just a few months ago. And remember, we saw video from that raid, and you can see investigators carrying out bags and boxes and inside IT rooms that look like they have all kinds of servers and his internet capabilities. So absolutely, surveillance footage was removed from this home. And that's what a lot of celebrities are saying are keeping other people quiet, possible witnesses, people who are associated with Diddy. They say the fear of what's on that surveillance footage is what's keeping anybody from speaking out against him or speaking on behalf of him.
Hey guys, you're seeing this video of after the raid on that mansion from our friends at TMZ. So are you telling me, Sydney Sumner, that a lot of his so-called friends are keeping their distance because they're afraid they might pop up on a video with their pants down?
Absolutely, Nancy. That is what the word is right now. People are afraid of what behavior was caught on that surveillance footage.
A troubling trail of lawsuits and sex trafficking allegations left in the wake of Sean Puffy Combs' federal sex trafficking probe. Diddy now sells his multi-million-dollar raided home.
And what does Cuba Gooding Jr. have to do with Sean Puffy Combs and everything that's happening now with the federal investigation where they're tearing down, shredding the information connected to a luxury resort hotel? Well, listen.
Rodney Jones's lawsuit has stalled as attorney Tyrone Blackburn has not been able to serve Justin Combs or newly named defendant Cuba Gooding Jr. Blackburn has accused Combs' legal team of trying to run the clock with deceptive behavior to prevent Justin Combs from being served before the 120-day deadline at which he would be dismissed as a defendant. Cuba Gooding Jr. has reportedly been dodging service attempts as well, refusing to answer the door at his address on record from his previous criminal sexual assault cases.
Sydney Sumner, what does Cuba Gooding Jr. have to do with Combs?
So Nancy, in an amended version of Rodney Jones' lawsuit, he now names Cuba Gooding Jr. as a defendant. And I believe Jones alleges that at some point, Combs put him and Gooding into a room together and wanted Gooding to get to know Jones better. And there was some inappropriate touching that happened, and Jones had to shove Cuba Gooding Jr. off of him. So that is the newest named defendant in Rodney Jones' lawsuit. So he's having trouble getting Gooding to respond to accept service of this lawsuit. He's also having the same problem with Justin Combs. Remember, Jones accuses Justin Combs of being involved in a shooting at one of Diddy's recording studios, and then says Combs covered that shooting up.
Wait. This is a mini tentacle creature. Let me first address Cuba Gooding Jr., who, of course, maintains his innocence. Nima Rahmani, when I say mini tentacle, think about not just an octopus with the octo, 8 legs. Think about a sea serpent with a myriad of legs that stretch out to get all of its victims. That's what this criminal enterprise allegedly is. Now we reportedly have Cuba Gooding Jr. dodging court service.
Well, Nancy, you said it. It's a criminal enterprise. And when that indictment comes down, it's going to be a RICO indictment. So there's going to be allegations of sex trafficking, drug trafficking, guns. And Cuba Gooding Jr. was allegedly at these parties. If you look at the allegations in these civil lawsuits, and he allegedly participated in these sex acts. That's why he's being sued. So the question is,
hey, being at a party and making out with one of the other guests does not land you in federal hot water where you're hiding behind a locked door so you don't have to accept service. It's not just going to a party, Nima Rahmani.
Well, no, it's not just being at the party. The allegations were that he participated in these acts. That's what these civil lawsuits. Now, again, just allegations.
Illegal acts, not just making out or having sex in the closet at a party, at the white party, but performing illegal sex acts, which typically means against someone's consent, where they are forced or coerced to perform a sex act. That's what we're talking about. And let me reiterate, Cuba Gooding Jr. insists he's innocent. Okay, I'm trying to make sense of this. Lynn Shaw joining me from Lynn's Warriors Fighting Sexploitation. Lynn Shaw, I want to hear your analysis of parties that are now under the federal microscope.
My analysis, my opinion is this is a sex and drug trafficking operation. That is what I am calling it. All of the evidence we know about, the reported stories, the reported, the victims, survivors that are coming forth. And I want to be very careful here. We can never forget about all of these victims of this big bully that's been running around terrorizing people. Because you know what? It's mostly vulnerable girls and also some boys, young men and young women. So we got to keep an eye on them as well because they come from very vulnerable backgrounds. And sure, who doesn't want to hang around with, mansions and parties and all that? But let's also say the white parties, they were also called freak outs. And we heard there were almost casting calls. We heard there were casting calls for anybody who wanted to attend. We'll fly you to Miami. We'll fly you into New York. We should be looking at all of that. So if the feds have done all of this so far, I am telling you, they are looking at a sex and drug and weapons investigation. That is my opinion. And that is where all the money comes from. Because let's face it, everybody, the music business, how do you afford these $70 million mansions in multiple states and all that? You can't make that kind of money in the music business anymore. Where does it come from? Again, I repeat, the number one crimes that are making money today: sex trafficking, human trafficking, the labor trafficking, the drug trafficking, and dealing in weapons. That's my opinion. That's where they're going.
And the so-called white parties have been going on for 25 years. Now, speaking not only of the white party and alleged sex attacks during the white party, also this guy with the $100 million default judgment against Sean Puffy Combs. Listen.
Well, I have a proof of service showing that Mr. Combs was served on July 6th of 2000 and, let me see, is that 24?
Yes, yeah.
Yep. Looks like it. 2024, return receipt requested was provided. So there is proper service. Mr. Combs has neither appeared nor responded to this request. So I'm going to grant your motion.
We did a live one-on-one visit in our prison visiting room. There's 2 meetings within the past 2 weeks with Mr. Combs on one meeting, and then a financial advisor on the other meeting on Mr. Combs' behalf. He made me a financial offer of $2.3 million to allow what happened to me to go away. And he pretty much said, yeah, he goes, you know how we get down. And I said, okay, well, I disagree with how you get down.
You know how we get down? Okay, now according to this guy who just won the $100 million default judgment, Sean Combs was just on a video conference with him behind bars. But listen, his lawyers, Combs' lawyers say, hey, I've never even heard of this guy. Listen.
Combs' attorney denied Cardella Smith's allegations, claiming Combs never even heard of Cardella Smith, much less received a lawsuit from him. The judgment orders Combs to pay Cardella Smith $10 million on a monthly basis beginning October 1st. Though Combs' attorney accuses Cardella Smith of court fraud, Cardella Smith reportedly filed a prison visitation record with Combs' name on it to support his claims.
Ruh-roh. If Combs' name is on a prison visitation list and he had a conference call in one of the visitors' rooms about a settlement, Sidney Sumner, this guy that just got a $100 million default claim against Combs, didn't he say he met Combs as part of hospitality and restaurant biz?
Yes, that's a very vague way of putting that, and we're not entirely sure what that means, but Cardella Smith claims he met Combs in the late 90s in Detroit. They attended several parties together, and in 1997, Combs invited multiple beautiful women to a hotel room with Cardella Smith. They were both having sex, performing sex acts with these women. At one point, Combs offers Cardella Smith a drink. Hours later, Cardella Smith wakes up. Combs is having sex with one of the beautiful women that is in this hotel room, and he looks at Cardella Smith and says, I did this to you too. That is what Cardella Smith claims in this lawsuit that he just won this $100 million default judgment on. Now, Combs is denying all of this, of course, but that is the claim. And as of right now, that judgment stands.
And then there's the murder of Tupac. Listen.
As they were driving west on Flamingo Road near Koval, they located the black BMW, which was driven by Suge Knight, and in the passenger seat was Tupac Shakur. And as they turned around, they pulled up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur.
Shakur is hit 4 times in the chest. Suge Knight is grazed in the head by a bullet fragment. Tupac Shakur dies 6 days later. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis claims credit for Tupac's murder on BET and in his memoir. He says Puffy Combs wanted Knight and Tupac's heads after their diss track Hit 'Em Up. When Davis offers to carry out the hits, Combs agrees to pay him $1 million.
It's amazing how in all of the money claims that are floating around, $100 million default judgment, this lawsuit, that lawsuit. What about the murder of Tupac Shakur? With me, renowned trauma expert, psychologist Karen Stark. Karen, I want you to watch Combs on video. Watch.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Then you can just march yourself straight to jail if you take full responsibility. In that video, Combs is responding to another video where he is seen dragging Cassie Ventura, kicking her horribly while she's down, dragging her by her hair through the open hallways, the corridors of a luxury hotel. Now, if he will do that and a hallway with surveillance video staring down at him, what will he do behind closed doors? He's sorry? He's not sorry. He's not sorry he did it. He's sorry he got caught. Karen Stark.
Absolutely. That's it, Nancy, because there is no way, first of all, that is so inauthentic to me. I don't buy it for a moment. But the only reason that he is forced to do that is because it was a recording. He could not deny it. It was very clear that he is a violent man. So I really do believe he has no conscience. He's able to do it all. I don't buy that sob story. Do you? It doesn't look authentic. He just has to come forward. Poor thing, because he got caught.
If you have information on this or any other sex assault or sex trafficking, please call the national hotline 888-373-7888. Repeat, 888-373-7888. And now we remember an American hero, Philly police officer Jamie Roman, just 31 years old, shot in the neck during a traffic stop. He left his wife and children that morning to go to work. He never came home. He fought for his life 80 days and has just succumbed. The city flew their flags at half-mast. Roman survived by a grieving widow, son 4, and daughter 7. American hero, Philly PD, Jamie Roman. Thank you to all of our guests for being with us, but especially to you for being with us tonight and every night. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern, and until then, good night, friend. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.